Born of fire, tempered in dharma, the axe-bearing Brahmin rose to destroy ego and re-establish balance. In the vast cosmic cycle of good and evil, whenever unrighteousness rises, the divine descends. In one such era, when arrogance and tyranny gripped the earth, especially among the warrior class, the sixth incarnation of Lord Vishnu took birth, a being of fire and resolve, known to the world as Parshuram, the warrior sage with the axe. Parshuram, also called Bhargava Rama, was born into the Brigu lineage, a family of powerful sages. His father, Rishi Jamadagni, was a learned and austere sage, deeply revered for his penance and command over divine knowledge. His mother, Renuka, was renowned for her purity and devotion. The couple resided in a hermitage, nestled in the serenity of nature, living a life of simplicity and strict discipline. Parshuram was no ordinary child. He was born at a time when the earth trembled under the burden of cruel and proud kings. The Kshatriyas, once protectors of dharma, had become consumed by power and greed. Parshuram's birth was divinely orchestrated by Vishnu himself to restore balance. A Brahmin by birth, but a Kshatriya in purpose, destined to annihilate unrighteousness. Even in childhood, Parshuram displayed traits far beyond human comprehension. He was calm, yet fierce, silent, yet watchful. From an early age, he was trained in the knowledge of Vedas, mantras, weapons, and meditation. His father taught him not just sacred chants, but also infused in him the value of righteousness, discipline, truth, and above all, detachment, a quality that would define Parshuram's legacy. Among the many tales that speak of his discipline, one stands out. One day, Rishi Jamadagni, in a moment of spiritual insight, tested the obedience of his sons. He asked each of his elder sons to behead their mother Renuka, who had momentarily lost focus while collecting water, thus breaking her vow of absolute chastity of thought. The older sons refused, but Parshuram, trained in unwavering obedience and the principle of karma without emotion, followed his father's command and beheaded his mother without hesitation. Pleased with his absolute surrender to duty, Jamadagni offered Parshuram a boon. Without pause, Parshuram asked for his mother's life to be restored and his brothers revived. His detached action was never driven by cruelty, but by the highest principle of obedience and faith in dharma. This episode showed not only his spiritual power, but his emotional transcendence. He could act without attachment, a sign of a true yogi. Years passed. Parshuram continued his deep meditation and service in the hermitage, but destiny was preparing him for a far greater storm. A powerful Kshatriya king, Kartavirya Arjuna, who had 1,000 arms and had obtained boons from Lord Dattatreya, became intoxicated with power. Known for his might, Kartavirya was also feared for his arrogance. One day, while out hunting, he visited Rishi Jamadagni's ashram. The sage, though poor in worldly possessions, was rich in hospitality. With the help of Kamadhenu, the divine wish-fulfilling cow gifted by the gods, Jamadagni served the king and his vast army. Kartavirya Arjuna, dazzled by the magical cow and its ability to fulfill desires, desired to take Kamadhenu by force. Jamadagni refused. The cow was not a commodity, but a divine being, a part of the ashram's spiritual strength. Enraged, Kartavirya ordered his soldiers to seize Kamadhenu and destroy the hermitage. They took the cow, humiliating the sage and defiling the sanctity of the sacred space. Parshuram was away at the time, meditating in the forest. When When he returned and saw the destruction, his heart burned with righteous fury. His father, calm yet hurt, narrated the events. Parshuram, filled with wrath but rooted in dharma, lifted his Parshu, divine axe given by Lord Shiva, and set out to avenge the insult. He stormed the capital of Kartavirya Arjuna, defeating his army with divine strength and unmatched skill. In a fierce battle, he confronted the 1,000-armed king. With godlike precision and fury, Parshuram cut down each of Kartavirya's arms and finally slew him. The earth witnessed, for the first time in ages, the rise of a warrior saint who fought not for power, but for justice. Parshuram brought back Kamadhenu to his father, but the story didn't end there. The sons of Kartavirya, seeking revenge, returned later and killed Jamadagni in cold blood while Parshuram was away again. They struck the sage mercilessly, despite Renuka's cries. She ran, weeping, calling out to Parshuram in agony, leaving behind trails of blood from her husband's corpse, trails that would burn into the soul of the young ascetic. When Parshuram returned and found his father dead, his mother inconsolable, and the hermitage desecrated, he stood still, silent. Then his silence turned to fire. His eyes burned with divine anger. Holding the blood-stained axe in hand, he took an oath, not of revenge, but of restoration. He would destroy the evil among the Kshatriyas, those who had turned away from dharma and become oppressors of the weak. He made a terrible vow. I shall rid the earth of the corrupted Kshatriya clan again and again, 21 times, until righteousness is restored. With that oath, Parshuram began his legendary campaign. He moved across kingdoms and battlefields, wielding his Parshu with divine force. The earth trembled beneath his feet. Kings fell, dynasties shattered. But he never killed the innocent. He struck only those who abused their power, those who turned their weapons against sages, women and children. His campaign was not driven by hatred. It was a divine yajna, a sacrifice to cleanse the land. 21 times he swept through the Kshatriya race, each time sparing those who walked the path of truth. Rivers ran red, but so did the light of justice emerge from the ashes. After his mission, Parshuram performed a great Ashvamedha yajna, horse sacrifice, and gifted all conquered lands to Brahmins and the needy. He chose to reside in solitude, meditating on Lord Shiva, and offering his strength only when Dharma was in danger again. Though a Brahmin by birth, Parshuram defied labels. He was a sage who mastered weapons, a warrior who sought no kingdom, a destroyer who built again, and a Vishnu avatar who bowed before Lord Shiva to receive the Parshu, a weapon that symbolized divine justice, not vengeance. He retreated into forests, then to the Mahendra Mountains, and then, according to later accounts, to the deep south and even Kerala, where he is said to have reclaimed land from the sea using his axe. Wherever he walked, rivers of energy followed. Wherever he meditated, the land became sacred. But Parshuram's journey was far from over. Though his mission seemed complete, destiny had more to unfold. For he would appear again during Ramayana, Mahabharata, and even in the end of Kali Yuga, as a guru to Kalki, the final avatar of Vishnu. Though Parshuram had completed his vow of ridding the world of corrupted Kshatriyas 21 times, his story was far from over. His life continued to intertwine with many crucial events across Yugas. He was not a figure tied to a single age. Parshuram was Chiranjeevi, the immortal, destined to appear again and again whenever Dharma required him. His presence can be found across epochs, from the Ramayana to the Mahabharata, to legends that speak of the future Kalki avatar. One of the most iconic moments in Parshuram's journey occurred during the Treta Yuga, at the time of the great Swayamvar of Princess Sita. King Janaka had laid down a condition. Anyone who wished to marry his daughter must lift and string the great bow of Shiva, the Pinaka. Many kings and warriors had tried and failed, for the bow was divine and massive, impossible for mortals to handle. Then came Rama, the prince of Ayodhya. With effortless grace, he not only lifted the bow, but strung it and broke it in the process. The sound of the bow breaking echoed through the three worlds, and it reached the ears of Parshuram, who was deep in meditation nearby. The break-in of Lord Shiva's bow was not a small act. That bow had been entrusted by Shiva himself. Hearing of this, Parshuram descended from the mountains in blazing anger, his axe shimmering with divine energy. He stormed into Janaka's court like a thunderbolt, demanding to know who dared break the bow of Mahadeva. As he confronted Rama, the atmosphere in the court turned tense. Rama, calm and respectful, stood his ground. A subtle dialogue unfolded, full of philosophical depth, spiritual undertones, and veiled power. Parshuram tested Rama's identity, not only as a warrior, but as an avatar. When Rama revealed his divine nature and lineage, Parshuram instantly recognized that the soul within Rama was none other than Vishnu himself, the same cosmic essence Parshuram embodied. Humbled and overwhelmed, Parshuram bowed before Rama and offered his blessings. In this moment, one avatar of Vishnu acknowledged the next. After blessing Rama, Parshuram departed, never to return to worldly affairs in the same way again. But Parshuram's mission was far from complete. As time passed and the Dvapara Yuga began, Parshuram once again re-entered the world stage, this time to shape the lives of great warriors of the Mahabharata. Among his greatest disciples were 1. Bhishma, Devavrata, the mighty son of Ganga and Shantanu, who took the terrible vow of lifelong celibacy. Parshuram trained Bhishma in warfare and celestial knowledge, but fate would later pitmaster against disciple. 2. Karna, the son of Surya and Kunti, born with divine armor. Karna approached Parshuram in disguise, pretending to be a Brahmin, to learn weapons that only Brahmins were allowed to know. Parshuram, impressed by his devotion, agreed to teach him. But when he learned of Karna's deception, he cursed him, not out of anger, but to fulfill karmic balance, that in his moment of greatest need, his memory would fail him. 3. Dronakarya, the famed teacher of the Kauravas and Pandavas, was also guided by the legacy of Parshuram's knowledge. Parshuram's ashram had become a legendary Gurukul, where only the most devoted and dharmic aspirants were trained. He did not accept students for prestige. He chose those whom destiny called, those meant to influence the course of time. Perhaps the most dramatic moment came when Parshuram was forced to battle his own disciple Bhishma. This happened when Bhishma kidnapped Princess Amba, who later sought Parshuram's help to reclaim her honor. Parshuram, honoring Dharma, fought Bhishma in a titanic battle that lasted for days. Neither could defeat the other. The heavens trembled with their power. Ultimately, Parshuram ceased the battle, understanding that destiny had its own plans for Amba. She would later be reborn as Shikhandi, a crucial figure in Bhishma's death. Through these episodes, Parshuram's role was never just of a warrior, but of a cosmic force, appearing, intervening, and withdrawing when necessary. He represented Shakti, bound by Dharma, never personal emotion. After these events, Parshuram renounced worldly life and retreated to the Mahendra mountains deep in penance. Legends say he stood on one leg in tapasya for thousands of years, meditating upon Lord Shiva and Vishnu. Even the gods dared not disturb his trance. The earth sighed in relief, for Parshuram's presence was like fire, purifying but fearsome. Later myths from South India describe how Parshuram hurled his axe into the ocean, and the waters receded, giving birth to the land of Kerala. This act symbolized not destruction, but creation. After purging Adharma, he now gifted space for peace and growth. Parshuram is thus revered across Kerala and Konkan coasts as the founder and preserver of knowledge and culture. Despite withdrawing from active involvement, Parshuram's story didn't end. According to the Vishnu Purana, Shiva Purana, and even future prophecies, Parshuram is immortal. He is one of the 7 Chiranjeevis, deathless beings who will walk the earth until the end of this age. And when the dark age of Kali Yuga reaches its peak, when truth fades and Adharma reigns, Kalki, the 10th and final avatar of Vishnu, will descend. It is foretold that Parshuram will emerge once more as Kalki's guru, handing over the celestial weapons and teaching him the wisdom needed to restore balance. Thus, Parshuram is the thread that connects the past, present, and future, a living flame of divine discipline, ever watchful, ever ready, not bound to one lifetime, not attached to any desire. He walks the unseen path of eternal tapasya. He is not remembered merely as a slayer of kings, but as a restorer of dharma, a master of all shastras and astras, and a bridge between gods and men. Where most avatars concluded their mission and left the earth, Parshuram chose to stay behind, to watch, to prepare, and to guide. To this day, sages in the Himalayas and temples in the south chant his name. Warriors invoke his blessings before battle. Disciples seek his inner fire. And the earth, though aged and wounded, sleeps a little easier knowing that somewhere, in a cave or mountain, the axe-bearing sage waits in silence until Dharma needs him once more.